under the sparkling golden sun of the Great Sahara, where dunes rose like waves frozen in time, lived a kind-hearted girl named Princess Liyana. She was the daughter of the Desert King, ruler of an oasis kingdom hidden between endless mountains of sand. Princess Liyana loved her people, her home, and most of all, the quiet magic of the desert. Every morning she walked to the edge of the oasis just to feel the warm breeze and listen to the whisper of dunes shifting softly in the wind. One bright morning, the princess spotted something unusual near a cluster of date palms. A small dusty camel sat alone, looking tired and frightened. The camel's legs trembled and his eyes glistened with worry. Liyana hurried to him, brushing away the sand from his fur. "Where is your family, little one?" she whispered gently. The camel blinked his long lashes and made a soft grumbling sound. Princess Liyana looked around but saw no caravans, no footprints, and no signs of an owner. The desert was empty except for the young camel and the warm wind swirling around them. She decided then and there that she would help him. The princess brought the camel to the palace stable, fed him fresh dates and cool water, and gave him a soft blanket to rest on. She named him Saffron because his fur shone like golden spice under the sun. Saffron grew stronger each day, and soon he followed her everywhere through the oasis gardens, across the palace courtyard, and even to the old desert library, where she studied ancient stories of dunes and stars. One afternoon, while Princess Liyana and Saffron wandered near the outskirts of the oasis, a strange sound echoed through the wind, something like a distant cry for help. Liyana stopped, tilting her head. Saffron lifted his nose and snorted nervously. The sound came again, louder this time. Without hesitation, the princess climbed onto Saffron's back, and together they rode toward the voice. The desert stretched far and wide, but Saffron ran swiftly, his hooves barely sinking into the sand. Soon they reached a deep ravine formed by shifting dunes. At the bottom, an old merchant was trapped under a fallen wooden cart. His water bag lay empty beside him, and his face was pale from the heat. "Hold on, we're here to help." Princess Liyana shouted as she slid down the slope, Saffron following carefully behind. She tried lifting the cart, but it was too heavy for her. Saffron stepped forward, bracing his long legs against the sand. With a determined grunt, he pushed the cart with his strong neck until it finally rolled off the merchant. "Thank you," the merchant gasped. "I thought the desert would swallow me." Princess Liyana shared her water with him and helped him climb onto Saffron's back. Slowly and patiently, Saffron carried them back to the oasis. When the merchant recovered, he explained that he had been traveling with a caravan when the sandstorm separated him from his camels. "I must reward you," he said gratefully, bowing to the princess. But Liyana shook her head. "Helping is its own reward," she said kindly. However, as he prepared to leave, the merchant looked closely at Saffron and gasped, "This camel. He is no ordinary camel. He is a moon runner, rare breed, born only during a desert full moon. Moonrunners have great strength and are believed to bring good fortune. I thought they had disappeared long ago." Princess Liyana smiled proudly at Saffron. "Then he was meant to be found," she said softly, patting his neck. Days passed, and life in the oasis continued peacefully. But one evening, dark clouds gathered in the sky, and a fierce sandstorm began to rise. The wind howled like a wild beast, shaking the palace gates. The storm grew so violent that people feared the oasis might be buried under dunes. "We must close the water walls," the king ordered. These walls were ancient stone barriers that redirected sand away from the oasis, but to close them, someone had to reach the outer desert cliffs and pull down a giant lever. "It's too dangerous," the guards said. "The storm is too strong." But Princess Liyana stepped forward. "I will go. Our people need protection. And I will take Saffron. He is brave and strong." Despite her father's worry, Liyana climbed onto Saffron's back. Together, they pushed into the storm. Sand whipped against their faces like sharp needles, and the sky turned dark as night. Saffron lowered his head and marched forward, shielding Liyana with his body. The dunes shifted wildly, rising and falling like angry waves. Many times the princess nearly slipped, but Saffron steadied himself, refusing to give up. Even in the fierce wind, he recognized the path to the cliffs. At last, through the swirling sand, the giant lever came into sight. Liyana jumped down and tried pulling it, but the storm's force pushed back with terrifying strength. She struggled, sand covering her hands and clothes, until Saffron pressed his shoulder beside her. Together, girl and camel pulled with all their might. With a loud thunk, the lever dropped into place. A deep rumble echoed across the desert as the water walls closed. The sandstorm slammed into the barriers, but the oasis remained safe behind them. Exhausted but triumphant, Liyana hugged Saffron tightly. He nuzzled her cheek gently, as if saying, "We did it together." When they returned to the palace, the people cheered, and the king embraced his brave daughter. "You and Saffron saved us," he said proudly. From that day on, Princess Liyana and Saffron became known as the guardians of the desert. Together, they helped travelers, protected the oasis, and explored the hidden mysteries of the Sahara. And every evening, as the sun melted into the dunes, Liyana whispered to Saffron, "Wherever the desert leads us, we will face it side by side." And Saffron, the brave moonrunner, always answered with a soft, loyal grunt, as warm and comforting as the desert sun itself.